wrap up time. Hi! As you can tell, in April I actually started annotating and it's been so fun. I'm currently reading A Happy Place and I'm just like going crazy. Like, I never thought that I would want to write in a book, but since picking up that book, I've been highlighting literally everything. I read 5 books this month. Starting out with my books from series, I have The Fine Print, which is book 1 in the Dreamland series, Twisted, which is book 4 in her Ever After series, or Never After series, and then Twisted Games, which is book 2 in the Twisted series. Starting off strong, we all know how I feel about the Twisted series, but if you're new here, I literally live and breathe for it. I love Anna Huang. She's just such a good writer, and I literally just eat up all of her books and I don't even feel bad about it. Like, I know there's a lot of spice and it's kind of like a 50 Shades type of thing, but it is just like, oh, it's so wonderful though. So all these books revolve around a single friend group. You can read these as standalones, but I would definitely recommend going in order. So like I said, this is book 2. This is about Bridget, and she's a princess in a foreign country. And I tell you that the Reese hype did not disappoint. I was like eating it up. Like, I could not stop reading this. It was just, I don't know, this is one of those books that I open up and I just think about it when it's closed. I have to like read another chapter. Pretty much all of these books are like that for me, but I did really like Twisted Games. Is he my favorite? I can't tell you yet because there's 2 other guys to go. Bridget does not want to take the crown in her country. Her brother Nikolai is supposed to do it, but he stepped down because you can't marry someone who's not royal, and he fell in love with a woman who was not royal, so he stepped down from his crown. So Bridget now has to take it, but she is also in love with someone who's not royalty. So this book is mostly about her trying to figure out, first of all, her feelings for Reese, Reese's feelings for her, and then most importantly, how she can take down the whole law. This book was just so good. I absolutely love their banter. Bridget just did not let Reese like boss her around or like almost baby her in a way. She was like, look, I know you're my bodyguard, but I am still a grown woman. You're queen, in fact. So I just really loved their back and forth and her just like checking him and putting him in his place. The way that I rate things that I put in the beginning of the video, if I just cannot stop thinking about a book and I almost feel like void when it's over with, that's a 5 for me. This was like just about to be on the cusp of like, what do I read now? Next, my first ever book that I annotated was The Fine Print. This series is about 3 different brothers. This book is about Rowan, the youngest one. He is put in charge of running Dreamland, which is like their family company, kind of like a Disneyland knockoff type of vibe. Zara's an employee, so it's a workplace romance and a grumpy sunshine again. He's just like so intrigued with the fact that she is so positive, and he just like can't figure out like just kind of what makes her gears turn, you know? Now Rowan has to find a like really good idea for the parks to keep it going and like prove his position as like a successful leader and CEO of Dreamland. And Zara's like in her feelings because he like announces it obviously that he's looking for like a really good idea, and she gets drunk and she submits her old proposal but like kind of on steroids, and she gets accepted. So then she becomes the kind of crown jeweled creator and just someone that he's definitely watching, besides the fact that he is slowly falling in love with her. I would say this is almost a like guy falls first type of thing. I mean, she definitely knows he was cute, but he was definitely doing things throughout the beginning of the book that was like, that's definitely a boyfriend thing to do. And he was like, no, I don't like you like that. Like, we're just hanging out, because it was going to be like, he was the one who brought like no strings attached type of thing, and then he was the exact one that couldn't do it. Like, he was like taking her to like meet her favorite author. He gave her no money, so at one point in the book he took her to do something that was on her bucket list that she would have like literally never done from her own dime, or even like as a child with her parents, things like that. And it was just so like meaningful, and he was just so thoughtful, but he was also like really cold. So it kind of just went like hot and cold, and I was like, I don't know if I personally would do this, but for you, Zara, go for it. I immediately went to go buy a second book, and I did. Twisted is, like I said, the 4th and most recent, most recent? There's Hooked, Scarred, Wretched, and Twisted. They're all about our favorite childhood villains, but them in, you know, a more adult, palatable to our age group now way. Twisted is about Jafar and Jasmine, but they are Yasmin and Julian in this book. And Julian is Yasmin's father's right-hand man, and they both run a big diamond company together. And Yasmin is obviously going to be the heir to like this fortune and the business and all of that, and her dad wants her to marry a man to help her take care of, you know, that responsibility. So Julian takes this upon himself as the perfect time for him to kind of come up with a deal with Yasmin, because obviously if her father wants someone who can run a business, he's not going to want her with Aiden, Aladdin. So she has to kind of come up with a whole plan to still be with Aiden, but to do as her father wishes, because that is meaningful to her because he is dying. The way I like unknowingly just like really got attached to Julian, like I literally despised Aiden. Like I know we're like when we're growing up we're supposed to like want Aladdin over Jafar, but I was reading this, I was like, I cannot think of anything worse than being with Aiden. He was just like so annoying to me and just so like, I don't know, like boring compared to Julian. Like yeah, he's got all the money and whatever, and he was taking her to this and down the third. However, it was also like just in how they spoke to each other, and just like even when he was just talking to her not for like show in front of people as her husband, there was still so much like passion behind it that like when she was talking to Aiden, it was just like, yeah. I was kind of picking up and putting down this book, so it wasn't something that I was like tearing up as far as like, I don't know, the story really. I think maybe just because, I don't know, there was just, I don't know, there's just something that was like making me kind of put it down and move on to other things. I will be getting Wretched because that is about the Wicked Witch of the West, and I do want to read, you know, from a female villain's perspective. But I think I give this about a 3.75, almost a 4. This was just kind of like, it was a good story and it was a good book. It just like wasn't anything miraculous to me. Next, I have one thriller this month. I have The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This is about a husband and wife. Sarah, the wife, is a defense attorney, and her husband, Adam, is having an affair and his mistress dies. And obviously he calls upon his wife to be his defense. So it's just about them deciphering what really went on, and then at the end, obviously we find out, you know, the whodunit aspect of it. I caught on to this super fast. I was like, I knew who did it, but in the way that they did it was like crazy to me. Like I would have never saw them connected to a lot of things that happened throughout the book, because obviously throughout the book there was like someone who was like derailing things, either investigations, meetups with like what's the word I'm thinking of, people are suspicious of. Adam in this book, the husband, was so freaking irritating. Like I literally almost DNF'd this just because of how much I could not stand Adam. Like, oh, he just thought he knew better than Sarah. I think he was like afraid that because of her finding out that he was cheating on her, that she wasn't going to put her best foot forward into the case, because she is the best defense attorney in their area, in their city, in their state, period. She's it. So he kept like second guessing her and like going off by himself to like find clues or evidence to show everyone that like he didn't do it, you know? And it was just like, stop, just stop. Like, just be quiet, wait for her to do her job. Like we don't need the #1 suspect running around town looking even crazier. It was just like, ugh. But I love Sarah. Purely based on like shock factor and just like that's what I look for in my thrillers, this was a 4 stars for me. Lastly, I have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Hannah Grace is one of my new favorite authors ever. She has a new book, Wildfire, coming out this year. I will be picking that up. Don't you worry about it. But Icebreaker was so freaking good. This is my first hockey romance or sports romance of any kind that I read, and I really just tore this up. Like I couldn't do anything else, and I was like staying up so late I couldn't even sleep. I was like, I have to know what happens next. Obviously, by the cover, this is about Stassi and Nate. Stassi is an ice skater, Nate's a hockey player at their collegiate levels, and something happens to Nate's ring, so they have to mesh links with Stassi and her partner, and that's kind of how they like get into each other's worlds and kind of know each other's a thing, because they like had some rings, so all this time at school they like didn't really know of each other or care to know. Nate is like so freaking amazing. Like I literally love him so much. He's my new favorite book boyfriend ever, and the found family in this book was too good. Like I don't think I will ever love a friend group in a book more than I love the friend group in this one. Like his team just took to her so beautifully, and they cared about her so much, and just like her well-being. And she has a little bit of like a, I'm not gonna say a little bit, she has a lot of bit of a toxic relationship with her teammate and best friend, but she doesn't realize that. But throughout the book, you could totally see him like gaslighting her and just like manipulating her, and it's just kind of like, you keep taking the words right in my mouth. It's kind of hard to read because it makes you so irritated, because she's like, oh no, like she doesn't see it, she goes to bat for him. It causes like so many fights in the relationship because Nate's like, how do you not see this? And it's just, oh, he was so irritating. But he ends up getting hurt, so Nate has to take his spot and be Stassi's partner because he accuses Nate of being the one that hurt him. Kind of like a little jealousy thing, because it's around the time that him and Stassi like start to really hit it off, and I think he's kind of like, I really want to get this guy out of here. I just loved him so much. He was so thoughtful. He was so sweet. I'm going to reread this and annotate it because it was just that good. Like, I have never reread a book, but I definitely will be rereading this one. They both have family issues, and I really appreciated the way that Hannah played it out in a healthy way. I feel like a lot of the time in real life or in books, it's kind of like, oh, that's just how they are, even when they're like truly toxic. And I really appreciated that she had them like figure out their own situations in a very healthy way. But I absolutely loved this book. I love the realism of it. I loved the romance. I definitely will be picking up other hockey romances just because of this one. Like, truly just because of this, I would pick up other books. Hopefully here soon I'll be able to do like an Amazon little haul for you guys, because I have a lot of books on my Amazon wish list that I am definitely going to be picking up. And if you guys want to see any of those books, get any TBR ideas, you can definitely go to that link. I always have it down below in my link tree, and it's the first tab. It's my wish list, and you guys can see any books that I have in my TBR. I love sharing TBR ideas with you. So if you have any TBR suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Please, please, please. I literally will sit up at night just watching like people's like wrap-ups or hauls, and then like sitting there like just putting it on my Goodreads, and just I'll spend like hours doing that. It's really bad. That is my wrap-up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to follow me on anything else, you can look into my tab like I was saying down below. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.